I'm not 100% sure why, but this movie goes to great lengths to try to make every single person unlikable, except for Nathan.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Will, and this is going to be my quick review for Uncharted. This stars Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg, and of course is based off the incredibly popular franchise from Sony PlayStation. This is a franchise that I spent many years playing multiple incarnations of the game, and it took me a while, but I finally saw it because it's on Netflix right now. So check it out if you feel inclined. If you are new to the channel and this is your first time, welcome. My name's Will, and I do geeky stuff on the internet. I do reviews, reactions, discussions, gaming, drinking, but it's usually all just me having a good time. So if that's sort of your bag and you like to hear it from a geeky bear's perspective, why not subscribe to the channel? I'd love to have you, love to get to know you, and let's talk about geeky stuff together. So let's discuss Uncharted. Uncharted is, of course, it is based off the popular video game franchise, and we all know that video game movies do not have a stellar track record if you have seen any movie based off a video game. There have been some exceptions, like I still hold Detective Pikachu and the Sonic the Hedgehog movie as two of the exceptions of a very good movie that adapts a video game franchise onto the big screen. And Uncharted, it's not terrible.
Say what?
It's not terrible. And for anyone who has not lived through the Street Fighters, the Mortal Kombats, the Double Dragons, the Resident Evils, the Assassin's Creeds, the Dooms, the Final Fantasy Spirits Within, saying a video game movie is not terrible is a baseline. And I will admit that Uncharted is a baseline. It is not terrible. This incarnation of the Uncharted mythos, it takes place earlier before we get to what we could say the actual games are based off of, with a younger version of Nathan Drake played by Tom Holland, first meeting and befriending Victor Sullivan played by Mark Wahlberg, and they're looking for a treasure, which the entire Uncharted franchise is all about, looking for treasure and adventure and stuff like that. So the movie does take a lot of key points from that. There's some teases of Nathan's brother, who plays a factor into why Nathan gets involved with Sully to begin with, and they have to try to discover the long-lost treasure of Magellan, who circled the world before our antagonist, who is played by Antonio Banderas, discovers the treasure first. So it's a race against time. That's the premise of the movie. It's, like I said, it's not a terrible movie. Is it kind of meh or a little bit like slightly forgettable? Kinda. I wasn't completely turned off from the movie. I tried watching the movie without taking into account any of the video game at all. So I didn't judge this off of the previous Uncharted games or anything like that, because it's telling a brand new story, and it's telling kind of an origin story of Nathan and Sully's relationship and stuff like that. I joked about it at the beginning. They really do try to make the majority of the characters in this movie very unlikable. Like, the way that Mark Wahlberg plays the character of Sully is very unlikable. And it's like, to the point where I'm like, why is Nathan hanging out with him? Why is he continuing with this journey to try to help him discover this treasure, when every point in the movie there's some way that he is not being 100% truthful, or not even trying to back him up really. He's literally using him as a patsy. And it just seems very aggressive for an initial meeting, when there's no premise or no reason that he should be that level of untrusting to Nathan, played by Tom Holland. Tom Holland, he plays a young Nathan Drake. He's very charismatic. He's charming. He's also a thief, so that kind of works with him trying to get into certain areas and con his way out of certain situations. It's fine. I think Tom Holland plays the role totally fine. At least for myself, Tom Holland has hit this level of stardom where he is so big that I feel like the role kind of suffers for it a little bit, because the whole time I'm watching it, I don't feel like I'm engrossed in this character the way I was with like the character in the video game. Again, I wasn't comparing the two, But yes, Tom Holland is a very popular actor, and I can assume, it's an assumption, not completely 100%, that this movie really put him as the lead because of his popularity, because of his stardom, and his role as Spider-Man in the MCU, and how popular that he made that character. But as popular as that character is, I feel like it kind of makes the character of Nathan Drake in this movie kind of forgetful, and all you see on screen is Tom Holland. Not saying that he gave a bad performance or he like completely phoned it in or anything, because he did not. He honestly put a lot of effort into it. You can tell by the action set pieces that he's really involved in some of the stunt work, because that's who Tom Holland is. He loves getting involved in the stunt work as much as possible. So that part of the movie didn't suffer at all. It's more so my own personal viewing of it, where it brought me out of the movie because it's Tom Holland. The antagonist of the movie is very one note. With Antonio Banderas, he kind of becomes pointless about 2/3 into the movie, and they switch over to somebody else. And it's kind of like, okay, great. From a character standpoint, all the characters are not super interesting. Maybe only Nathan and Sully are the most interesting people in it. Hence the reason they're the only two names I remember. There's another person that's kind of with them, but then kind of against them, and then kind of, there's a lot of backstabbing, a lot of betrayal in the movie, and some of it is so telegraphed, or it's not even really telegraphed, it's just blatantly obvious that the reveal or the surprises are not surprises, and that kind of, it's not really a big part of what made Uncharted super popular. Like, for what made the games popular, not only was the action, but a lot of the puzzle solving and the mystery and stuff like that, and trying to figure stuff out. And this movie does have that. I think it could have benefited from having it a little bit more and less of just trying to shove a lot of heavy duty action pieces or recreations from all across the game, because the opening scene is very reminiscent of Uncharted 2, when he wakes up and he's dangling off of a train going off of a cliff, where he wakes up and he's dangling off of luggage coming off of a plane, which is reminiscent of a scene in Uncharted 3. I played all the games, trust me, I did, and I really love the franchise. Going with a younger version of Drake, I didn't necessarily have an issue with. It wasn't necessarily something that's bad. I just feel like their relationship, how quickly it transitions from I don't trust you and all this other fun jazz to the one moment where he's like, okay, I can trust you and save your life. It just felt very abrupt. I would have loved to have them kind of form a little bit more of a bond well before the third act and not towards the end of the third act. Again, it's not an unentertaining movie to watch. Like I said, it's not terrible. And for a video game movie, that is a good baseline. Because we have had some terrible movies. So you can only go up from here. There's a lot of Easter eggs and cameos for fans of the game. There's a cameo from Nolan North, who was the voice actor who portrayed Nathan Drake in the video games. I thought that was a nice little cameo in the movie. They do set up for a potential sequel and stuff like that. Will that happen? I don't think the movie did poorly at the box office. I think it made its money back and then some. So it could warrant a sequel. I wouldn't be opposed to a sequel. I think if this first movie was really about them establishing their relationship, hopefully in the second movie their chemistry could just be better. They have good chemistry on screen, but their character chemistry it was just too combative for, this situation. If it was combative at the beginning, I could see, but it should have gotten a lot better. Like, the untrustingness of all the characters was a little much in certain scenes. It's like, guys, can y'all... Because it was so bipolar, I was getting whiplash at certain moments. It definitely ranks up there as within probably the top 6 of video game movies I can think of off the top of my head. But, again, overall, it's not a bad movie. It's not terrible. I actually enjoyed certain elements of it. I think the script or some of the dialogue could have been worked over a little bit better. I think some of the character motivations could be fleshed out a little bit more. Have a more interesting antagonist and cronies than you did. They ran one joke into the ground. There's a character who speaks I think he's from Ireland or Scotland, and he speaks very like in phrases and accents and stuff like that. And they played it off really as a joke in the trailer, but the movie hammers it into the ground. That kind of got old after a while. I'd love to see more puzzles and things like that. I'd love to see a little bit more chemistry or relationship building between Nathan and Sully in a sequel, if we do get a sequel. And again, hopefully I can get past just Tom Holland's level of stardom, because it did kind of take me out of it in certain moments just because of how popular he is right now, being that, you know, Nathan Drake is really supposed to be just kind of an everyman, an every person, and not really necessarily like Spider-Man. There are moments I'm like, you should be fine, just do some backflips and walk. I'm like, oh, wrong movie. Anyway. So yeah, those are just my thoughts on the Uncharted movie. That's my overall review. If you do get a chance to check it out, it's on Netflix right now for free. So, well, not for free if you pay for Netflix, or if you don't, I'm not condoning that, but if your buddy's got Netflix, go over their house and watch it with them. So, that is my quick review of Uncharted. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. As always, thank you so much for checking out this and all my videos. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing. You know, that helped me out. Hopefully you would subscribe and check out some of my other videos that are on this channel right now. I do have a spoiler review for episode 1 of She-Hulk that is playing on Disney Plus right now. I'm going to do the rest of them in probably batches. I don't know if I'm going to do them weekly, but again, it's my channel. I do what I want, and I'll just decide. So subscribe to stay notified of these sort of changes and things that happen. You can follow me on a lot of different social media platforms listed at the end of this video. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And as always, until next time, make sure you got a parachute, and I'll catch you later. Hey, thanks for watching this video. If you did like this video, why not give me a thumbs up and share it with your friends? You can subscribe to the channel by clicking on my gorgeous little face right over there. You can follow me on all the various social media platforms right below. And last but certainly not least, if you've got a few extra minutes, why not check out one of the lovely videos floating right over here. Later.